This guy looks like he's playing. It's so easy to recognize other players.
Players on a mission.
That guy, that guy, that guy, that girl, like I said, you can just kind of see it in somebody, the way that they're acting, looking around and checking their phone, looking back and forth.
In order to advance in the game, you have to go outside and do certain things like visit Pokestops. Kit Carson Park is one of them.
Up there are 2 Pokestops.
Today, Luis Ortiz and a friend walked around the memorial, staring down at their phones and playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah, there's a lot of Pokemon around here, and got to catch them all.
Pokemon can be seen jumping on things like this honorary tree dedicated to Marines who died in World War II.
The crowds have been unbelievable. I want to show you some live pictures right here at Ballast Point Park. At this hour right now, people are still playing Pokemon Go as I speak. Even moms tell us it's so crowded here, they're being driven out of their aerobics classes. Aerobics on the inside, obsession on the outside. Pokemon Go has people possessed at Ballast Point Park.
I want to go back home. It's terrible.
Local moms are mad, fed up with this current craze, hoping that Pokemon Go will stop.
I've seen teenagers, adults, even state employees coasting all across the Capitol in search of these Pokemon characters. They say they're trying to relive their childhood off screen and in real life.
I caught one.
Today's a live event of Pokemon Go, and it's turning into an actual socializing event, something that's the reverse of Facebook.
How many people do you think are out here today?
Probably 1,000 plus.
1,000 plus people playing Pokemon.
Pokemon Go.
It's pretty crazy, I have to say. My mom works at a state park in New York.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and I called her and talked to her 2 days ago.
Yeah?
And she literally in the middle of the conversation, she goes, oh wait, hang on, Katrina. And goes, if you're looking for Pokemon, there's some over there by the golf course. So
It's
that's
meant for people in their 30s at this point,
I'm
right?
30 years old,
Right,
so I was
right.
playing Pokemon when I was a kid, so it's almost like this really is for us in a way.
Sure.
Because they did not give any instructions. It was like for the fans.
Yeah.
Very for the fans. So, which some of us were kind of lost a little
Sure,
bit.
sure,
Like,
sure.
wait a minute. But, I mean, one of my Pokestops is a cemetery. So I went into the cemetery like 11 o'clock at night and I'm like
No
creeping
worries.
around. And I thought it was hilarious. But a lot of them are churches, like around my area.
Yeah.
Sure, sure, sure.
Churches. A lot of them are churches. So I kind of makes me wonder, like, how do they choose the Pokestops to be those buildings?
Just over a week after its release, Pokemon Go has become one of the hottest mobile apps of all time. The video game sends players wandering around cities trying to find fictional characters in real-life locations. He's trying to find fictional characters in real-life locations. The game made headlines when 2 former Marines reportedly helped police capture an attempted murder suspect while playing. The free app has surpassed Twitter when it comes to daily users. Wow, and people spend more time there than on Facebook. Nintendo owns part of the Pokemon company and saw its shares jump on the craze. CBS News financial contributor Melody Hobson is here and joins us at the table. We have to say it right. We have to say it right off the top that you're president of Ariel Investments, which owns Nintendo stock.
That's right.
So we're thinking you're going ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yeah. Well, we're not Johnny-come-latelys. We've had the share since 2011, but certainly,
I didn't say you just got
certainly
it.
the last week has been huge.
Huge.
Up over 50%. So it's free to download. So how do all the companies that are involved, whether it's Apple, Google, Nintendo, how do they make any money? So reportedly, they're making about $2 million a day. That's what we're hearing. They're making the money based upon the fact that individuals go in and they pay to upgrade. So they pay to get through the game faster or to get access to certain characters. That's where they're seeing the money be made right now. And they split that with the app store, like Apple and Google, and then the actual game manufacturer, and then this company that they own together.
Thank you, Mike. Excited to be here to talk about some stuff that we've been working on. It's an honor to be on a program with people like Trip Hawkins, who invented the video game industry. Trip was actually my first boss in Silicon Valley. He acquired a small company I had a hand in starting that created one of the first 3D MMOs, Meridian 59. Also, Gilman Louie, I think he's on the program for tomorrow. Gilman, of course, gave us Falcon, but Gilman's also a VC, and he invested in this company that I co-founded called Keyhole that created the technology for Google Earth that eventually was acquired by Google.
So before I do this, I need to go back. The slides did not go in the order I want. Okay, so where did Lab 41 come from? It came from a place called In-Q-Tel. How many of you have not heard of In-Q-Tel before? All right. All right. 13 years ago, the CIA was headed by George Tenet. His advisors, people in Congress, people in the tech community, was dawning on him that the IC was falling behind the pace of innovation in technology. They were in a PSTN type environment. The internet was taking them by storm, and they were not able to keep up. A nonprofit was formed at that time to create an investment arm of the intelligence community, to try to go out and track what's going on in the investment community and help the IC keep up with it. It morphed over time, and what really the group does, there are about 70 to 80 people at any given time working for In-Q-Tel. They come from a diverse range of backgrounds, VCs, tech, private equity, whatever it is. And what we're doing is we're meeting with close to 800, 900 companies a year, typically startups, figuring out what they do and matching what they do to the problem sets that the government has, and trying to figure out, are there things that those companies could do to accelerate development of features in their roadmaps or add extra features that would be useful to the government?
No big surprise since we're coming at it from the perspective of maps and Earth. I spent about 6 years at Google building out that part of our product line. We launched satellites with our partners. We created aerial collection platforms, Street View, building out this 3D virtual world. And we would look at that, and games were often part of the conversation when we were, as we were building that out. Often, when we updated Larry and Sergey about our progress, Sergey more than once said, I just want this to be a game. I want to drive around and blow stuff up. A few years later, we add smartphones to the mix. The iPhone happened, Android, and you have location. So at that point, we looked at it and said, yeah, we want to invest in this area and see if we can create something innovative that brings together maps, location, social, and games. So we created this little group. It's run like a startup inside of Google. It's called Niantic Labs. Niantic is kind of an interesting word. It was the name of a ship that sailed to San Francisco during the gold rush. At that time, everybody was coming to San Francisco and nobody wanted to leave, so these ships just piled up in the harbor. They got dragged on shore and then reused for various things, hotels, bars, brothels, a little bit like Las Vegas, I guess. But one of those, Niantic, is still buried under the streets of San Francisco. It's like this cool kind of secret thing that you walk by and you don't really know it's there. And that idea that there are these really interesting, cool kind of secret things out in the world and we can use technology to help people go out and explore the real physical world and discover them, that kind of underpins everything that we're doing within Niantic.
What was the net effect of the Niantic project? We had crossed a threshold in which global security could be at risk. Decrypting the data was the mistake.
This is not psychosis or some cognitive break, but an actual takeover of the mind.
Much of the public sculpture found in our cities is based on design seeded in the human mind.
Certain places have an energy that not only attracts people, but attracts events.
The mission of 13 Magnus is to monitor the effects of mind hacking. Obviously, this will be done with the highest of security, to make sure that the ideas do not contaminate or threaten humanity.
This all leads to Niantic.
I know that many tools will be needed to fight this battle.
You just have to know where to look and know what you're seeing.
Portals emit exotic matter into our world, and that matter has certain effects on our world.
I started noticing that there were energy fields, anomalies on Earth all around me.
A few of them exhibit properties that are as yet unexplained.
I know that there are others out there.
What if they're already among us, but we don't realize it?
And I must be prepared to work with them or fight them. They are coming.
Something's wrong out there in the world. This doesn't feel like a scientific study.
The one hope lies in understanding what happened at Niantic.
Not all mysteries are solvable, but the joy comes in the pursuit.
So that's the concept. As we were building the game, we actually came up with 4 kind of design principles that guided the entire project. The first of those is that the world is the game. We wanted to transform the entire globe into the basic game board. So we went in and mined information from stuff that we had available within Google. We selected historical sites around the world, works of public artwork, and those became the basic places on this global game map that you would interact with. You've got to go out and interact with these places in real life. You actually have to get out of the virtual and into the real in order to play the game that we wanted to build. So you have to move to play. It was important to me as a parent. I grew up with video games. I love them. They were my introduction to programming and to computers. But I hate to see my kids sitting on the couch on a beautiful day. Kids on average spend 3 hours a day glued to the screen. 80% of kids actually don't get the recommended daily amount of exercise, and this has major health implications. I was surprised to learn that lack of exercise is blamed for as many deaths every year as smoking. I was surprised to learn that lack of exercise is blamed for as many deaths every year as smoking. This is your view into the virtual game world that we're laying on top of the real world. So you see what's happening in the game overlaid on top of a map. You can see things through your scanner that you can't see with your own eyes. So the portals are present there. You can see them as kind of these bright spots on the map. You can see exotic matter that's sprinkled through the world. You collect this by moving around. This powers everything that you do in the game. And you're basically visiting these portals, trying to take them over for one of two factions. You join one of two teams when you join the game, and connect them together to take over parts of the world. So it's a little bit like playing Risk around the kitchen table, except rather than playing with 6 or 7 people, you're playing with millions of people around the world, and you're trying to take over the real world.
Excuse me. There are certain things DICE attendees need to know about Ingress, exotic matter, and the Niantic project, which, frankly, people have been covering up. Mr. Hankey, if I may.
Susanna, go ahead.
My name is Susanna Moyer, and I host a weekly news show called The Ingress Report. Now, despite attempts by mainstream media and certain covert agencies to suppress the story, there is no doubt that exotic matter is real and that it changes people, and perhaps even human evolution. The question is whether these changes are good or bad. Now, there are two ideological factions, the enlightened who support XM and the resistance who fear it. Now, agents from both factions are converging here tonight at 5 p.m. They'll be struggling to control the exotic matter portals in this area, and I urge you all to join them. Don't stand by and let others define the course of human history. Just see and experience it for yourself.
You are an extraordinarily gifted and perceptive young man. When you agreed to help us, it was because you understood the very grave threats.
I was to brief us on that yesterday, but I haven't heard anything. No, the file came through earlier today. What did they say?
Do you have any idea the shitstorm I'll have on my hands if this arrangement becomes public? I already took a hit with Snowden, and you want more?
Our enemies have become much more sophisticated. Gathering metadata is no longer adequate. We need a backdoor into your new platform and a way past the encryption.
And when that's not enough, you'll want something new.
We're pinning Kallur's hit on a fictional jihadi shooter, a 20-year-old Iraqi national. We created bank accounts, travel documents, emails, phone records. They look like a lone wolf.
Any physical evidence?
The asset leaves the gun. It'll have the Iraqis' prints on it.
But the news hasn't been all good. There's been some safety concerns about the game, too.
Right. So the issue that people have talked about is the security, because you're giving someone your location and access to your camera. So that's something that people say, is that a license for trouble? I'm not worried about the game company doing anything untoward to the players. And it's going to be a cash cow around consumer products. I mean, just wait for all of this merchandise to come.
And a business, apparently a pizzeria owner paid $10 to lure people, and his business is up 75%.
That's right. And we're seeing those pedicabs, which is actually pretty smart, right? People are going and taking the bicycle cab so they're not walking around in traffic trying to. So it's, you know, there's all sorts of ways that the economy can benefit.
Right now it's just here in the United States,
Well,
right?
it's in some other countries, but it still hasn't been rolled out globally.
Oh, wow.
All right, we need to get on the Pokemon Go craze, clearly. All right, Melody Hobson, thank you so much.
I just want to fulfill my childhood dream.
I just want to fulfill my childhood dream.